This video is a guide to using online questionnaires. This video will focus on something called eSurvey Creator. I wanted to start off by giving some warnings. So before embarking on an online survey project, it's important that you get your supervisor's agreement before starting the questionnaire process. Okay, make sure you follow ethical guidelines and that you include that you may be collecting from non-Newman students if you're planning to collect from non-Newman students. Equally, take a look at the BPS guide for conducting internet-mediated research, as it's particularly useful and will cover all the ethical aspects. Make sure you test your questionnaire. This includes making sure that you run it all the way through and you check the data you get out. There's nothing worse than collecting a series of participants only to discover that they haven't recorded the data in a way that would be useful. Often if you set things up right in the beginning, it makes things much quicker later on. Okay. Secondly, putting the questionnaire online doesn't automatically guarantee responses. While it allows you to do things like post the questionnaire out on forums and ask people to complete, you typically get 8 to 20 responses from just posting out on the forum. There is still much legwork to be done after that, so it is important that you are aware of this before thinking that doing an online questionnaire will be some sort of silver bullet. This part of the video will focus on a service called eSurvey Creator, which is a great tool. Because provided you sign up with your Newman email address or any .ac.uk email address, you'll be able to use the service to create unlimited questionnaires, have unlimited responses and unlimited questions. So to create a free account, if you just click register for free and make sure you use your .ac.uk email address, then you should be good. Okay. Then when you're ready, we're going to click sign in and it will take me to my account. Now the easiest way to show you what questions are available, and believe me it's got a wide range of questions, is to create a survey for you. So if we click create new survey, I'm going to call this video test 3. You'll see that you're greeted by this. So you've got a blank page and you've got the option to add element. So I click add element and this will take me to the list of questions that are available. You can use these options here to skip to a specific sort of question, or you can just scroll down. So as you can see, you've got the normal multiple choice questions, and then you've got some open-ended questions such as a single text line response with a word after and then a box and then another word, or multi-line response. Finally, in the text response boxes, you've got the option of creating a form where you can add multiple text boxes as one. Then we move on to single choice answers. So these are typically things like these, where you would be able to put a choice that a participant would choose and do that. Next, you've got multiple choice answers, which work very similar to single choice answers, but they will allow participants to make multiple selections. And you've got that with and without the option of adding an additional text box. Then you've got ranked choices, where you can get participants to rank a particular choice. And then you've got the most common things that people will be using, which is an evaluation table. This will enable you to enter your questionnaires online and use Likert scales and things like that. So this will be one of the most common ones we'll go for. And then a couple of others of note. This is particularly important if you've got a particular Scottish lecturer who likes to use visual analog scales. So if you're doing a visual analog scale, I would always recommend you do it online, as it saves you a lot of time in terms of accuracy and also lots of time in terms of having to measure with a ruler, because this will automatically measure it for you and put it into SPSS for you. Finally, you've got the option of adding text, adding pictures, and finally, which can be quite useful, is the option of getting your participant to upload a file. So these have to be generally quite small files, but things like screenshots or things like that, this will allow your participant to do. So that can be quite useful. So hopefully you've seen that you've got a range of questions here. So what I'm now going to do is I'm going to go and create a questionnaire just very quickly. So the first thing I think I want to do is add some text. And this is so I can give my participant information sheet. So if I click text, you see that I've got an option here to enter in a participant information sheet. So what I will do is I will copy and paste from the handbook. And I will just copy and I will just paste. And if you want to make the box a bit bigger to see, you can drag at the bottom left hand corner. And you can see, okay, so it's got things like name of study and things like that. But generally you can see that it's all copied in. You would enter in the relevant details and then just click create element. Okay? So once you've done that, you might want to add another element. So add an element here. And you want to give a thing saying the participant information sheet. So what I would typically do for that is copy the consent form from the other screen, and then I'm going to choose a single selection. Yeah. I'm going to paste it in like that. I'm going to make this box just a little bit bigger so I can see what I've done. Okay. And then what I would do here is I would just give the following. So I agree to the above. I do not agree to the above. Okay. And as you can see, this is what your preview will look like. Obviously, you will have your actual study details in here. And the key thing we want to do now is we want to make it mandatory. So in other words, the participant taking the questionnaire will need to answer this to continue. And then click create question. Okay, and as you can see, we've got the information sheet, and then we've got the consent form. So the next thing we want to do is go add page. So it's important after you've put in a mandatory question that you put the next question on a different page, so that the participant then has to complete the first question in order to move on. Okay. Before I do that though, I'm going to click edit logical workflow, and I'm going to say that if the participant chooses I do not agree, then you want to go to end of survey and then save logical workflow. And what we've done here is we've created a system that means that the participant has to consent to the questionnaire in order to take part in it. Okay, so the next thing we want to do is go to the blank page, and I'm going to show you how to add a typical table or matrix. So we'll go for this one, I think. And like before, this is where you'd enter your question. So this is a sample question. And then the answer field is all go on a different line down here. So question 1, new line, question 2, and question 3. Okay. Then on the options here, you've got what we want to put on the heading. So if we go for, I don't know, strongly disagree, and then strongly agree. And you can find that you can change the number of options they can give here. You can also ask them to append an open box if they want to add something extra. Okay, I'm not going to make this question mandatory. And it's often worth bearing in mind that if you do make a question mandatory and the participant does start to get fed up, then they will just often close the questionnaire and you will get lots of missing data. So just important to bear that in mind. Okay, so I'm going to click Create Question, and you see that we've now got a question. Okay, next thing I'm going to do is just a few text boxes, I think, because they tend to be quite common. I personally like to go for multi-line text boxes if I want a longer answer, and you can see that you can do things like change the text box width, and you can also enter in certain values there if you wanted to. So you can have it only whole numbers, only certain dates and things like that. I mean, for the purpose of this, I'm going to go for no restrictions, but you get the idea. So that's how you create a text box, and obviously I will need to put a question in, so sample question. And create question. Okay, so we can now see that we've got some sample questions. Final one I'm going to do, because it's quite common, is visual analog, which will be, just scroll down and we'll get to it. So here we are. So, okay. So let's go with visual. Let's go with this. I like visual analog scales. Okay, and here you can say you could have them. I hate them, and I love them. And what you can see is you've got before and you've got after. Okay. You can also change the values here to what they would be. So what each corresponding value is. So at the moment it defaults to 0 to 100. And you can change it here. Yeah. As you like. Okay, so that's basically a visual analog scale. I'm not going to make it mandatory. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to activate the questionnaire. So just to show you here, if you open preview, you can also have a preview. And it's essential that when you're doing a questionnaire, you pilot it thoroughly, because you want to iron out any of the problems with the questionnaire before you start. Equally, when I say pilot it, this includes making sure that you've got the correct dates and everything, okay? The correct data. Because there's nothing worse than collecting a load of responses and then discovering that you've not got the data you need. Okay, so I'm now going to go start survey. And in your email, you'll get this link emailed to you as well, but you can just copy and paste it into web address. Right, you've then got the information sheet. You've then got the consent form. So you need to say I agree to the above. So next. Okay, then you've got the sample questions. So I'm going to go strongly agree. Sample question, hello, text box, hello. And then here you've got the option of clicking where you think you are. And you can also move it. So you can do that, okay? Once you've done, click done, and that would be your participant completing the questionnaire, okay? So what I'm now going to do is go back onto this, hit refresh, and you can see that we've now got one participant who's completed this, i.e. me. So you can see that you've got some data here, but what is possibly more useful is to see that you want to download it in a CSV format. Now this means you'll be able to import it into SPSS. So I click download, I then go on to SPSS, and you can see that I've got a completely blank SPSS. I then go open, data, and then scroll down to text file here. Yeah. I then go to downloads. So in my case, it's saved on the C drive. Go all the way to the end. And then we click next. So just to show you, there's an option here saying predefined format. So if you're doing this multiple times, it can be worth saving the format at the end, making it quicker to import. So just click next. Delimited, yep, that's fine. And we want to say that yes, names are on top. Then we want to click next. And then we want to say each line represents a case. You want all cases. Click next. And then just leave it as comma separated and semicolon, so that's all fine. Click next. You'll find that it complains about the answer ID, so all you do is just delete the @ sign, and then next, and then finish. Okay, and what you see here is you've got one participant here, so it gives you the answer ID, the resume code if they ever want to use that. You've got a start, date, and the fact participant completed. And then you can see that they've agreed to all of the above. Then you've got some numbers here, and if you want to go in to SPSS, you can actually add in the values for the numbers. So you can say what 1 equals, what 2 equals, what 3 equals. Equally, if you then go recoding to different variable or recoding the same variable, you can reverse scores, and you can do compute variable to create a total. So the standard things that you would normally do in SPSS when working with scalable data. Okay, and so you can see that hopefully that will save you a lot of time. So the last thing I'm going to show you is how to distribute. So there's a couple of ways of doing it. First of all, if you just go back to edit survey, you can just send out the link, or you can use a service like Bitly or QR code generator to generate a short URL or a QR code. Do email me if you're interested in that. Or you can email distribution, so you can have your survey link sent out, and things are set up like so. So you have your subject and you have your email link basically. You can then enter recipients, and then when you come to send messages, you have a number of options here. So you can send reminder emails, so they will keep getting reminders if they're on your list. And you can do various things like that. Be careful you don't obviously spam people, because then that would be unethical. So that is essentially how you use eSurvey Creator. Thank you for listening, and if you've got any questions, please contact me by the email address on screen.